If you're like most people, you've probably heard the term supply chain, but you may not really know what it is or why it's been mentioned in the news so much recently. So, what is a supply chain? Well, at some point, you may have wondered about how your smartphone, sneakers, or even your morning coffee ended up in your hands. If so, you likely assumed that it doesn't happen by chance. And you're right, it's the result of a complex system known as the supply chain. A coordinated sequence of activities and organizations involved in sourcing, producing, transporting, storing, and selling products. Think of it as a journey that connects raw materials to the final consumer, with each stage adding value, facing risks, and requiring precise coordination. Everything starts with raw materials. Every product begins with basic inputs, raw materials that are extracted from nature. These are the foundational resources required to manufacture goods. For example, lithium from mines in Chile for making electric vehicle batteries, crude oil that's refined into plastic used in packaging, cotton grown in India for apparel, timber harvested in Canada for furniture, or cocoa from West Africa for chocolate bars. Without access to these inputs, production can't begin, which is why resource availability is a critical consideration when designing a supply chain for a product. Once sourced, raw materials are transported to manufacturing facilities, where they are transformed into finished goods through processes such as machining, chemical processing, or assembly. Think of auto manufacturers that assemble thousands of parts to build a car, electronics factories that transform rare earth minerals into circuit boards, food processing plants that turn grains into breakfast cereal, and clothing manufacturers that spin and dye cotton into fabric. Modern manufacturing often involves global supply chains, with different components being produced in different countries before the final assembly. After production, items must be packaged to protect them during transportation, communicate essential information, and appeal to consumers. For instance, pharmaceuticals are sealed in tamper-proof blister packs with barcodes. Consumer electronics are boxed with manuals, chargers, and safety labels, and perishable goods are vacuum sealed and refrigerated. Good packaging ensures compliance with safety regulations, supports branding, and enhances logistics efficiency. Once they're packaged, it's time for the products to travel. This part is called transportation. Logistics and transportation are the backbone of global supply chains. Products are moved using a mix of transportation modes, including trucks, rail, ships, and air, often across long distances and national borders. Containers are moved by ships from Asian ports to U.S. distribution hubs, refrigerated trucks deliver fresh produce to grocery stores, and air freight is used to rush critical medical equipment during emergencies. Each mode has trade-offs in terms of cost, speed, environmental impact, and capacity, and transportation delays can be a major source of supply chain disruptions. But before products reach retail shelves or homes, they often pass through distribution centers, which are strategically located warehouses where goods are sorted, stored, and redirected based on demand. E-commerce companies like Amazon manage inventory in dozens of distribution centers worldwide. Retailers stockpile seasonal merchandise months in advance, and automotive parts are held in regional hubs for just-in-time delivery to dealers. Distribution centers enable supply chains to be responsive and efficient, balancing supply with unpredictable customer demand. Products are eventually delivered to retail locations or made available through online platforms. This is where marketing, merchandising, and customer engagement intersect with logistics. A pair of sneakers might be sold in a mall store or through a brand's website. A new smartphone might be available for pre-order through an online retailer. And groceries can be bought in-store or scheduled for home delivery via an app. Retailers aim to create a seamless, omni-channel experience while managing inventory and forecasting demand accurately. When a product is purchased, in-store or online, it completes one cycle of the supply chain and triggers demand signals upstream. This step is often referred to as the moment of truth because consumer behavior ultimately drives the entire system. Customer purchasing decisions initiate the next planning cycle. Every time you buy something, the supply chain cycle begins again. The final stage is product use, but in many cases, this step sparks reverse logistics such as returns, repairs, recycling, or disposal. Understanding how customers use and dispose of products is vital for sustainability and circular economy strategies. Unfortunately, sometimes the chain breaks and disruptions and delays occur. All supply chains are vulnerable to disruptions, which can be anything that prevents the smooth flow of goods. Even a single point of failure can create a domino effect, leading to empty shelves, inflated costs, or lost revenue. Some of the more common disruptions occur because of geopolitical instability affecting global trade routes, natural disasters or pandemics halting production, cyber attacks compromising logistics systems, and labor strikes disrupting ports or factories. Companies invest in resilience and agility to adapt quickly to these challenges and recover operations with minimal impact. Hopefully, you see that supply chains are more than just logistics. They're the invisible force that powers the global economy and affects your everyday life. They determine whether your favorite products are available, how much they cost, and how sustainably they're produced. In today's interconnected world, understanding supply chains is essential for careers in business, technology, engineering, healthcare, and beyond. In short, the supply chain is how business gets done.